Hi everybody and welcome back to another Ride Free video here on this channel. I'm KPG-GOONER here. Now in today's video we're going to be looking at a new premium DLC pack that's just been released, and it's the 2 Strokes pack. Now this comes with 5 new bikes and 10 new events, and we're going to be checking them out all in today's episode. Plus there was an update which we're just about to check out now guys, and they have fixed quite a bit on this one, so let's get straight into the patch notes. Right, so these are the patch notes for update 1.09. I will quickly read the top line because you can barely see that, and it says track day time limit for some events fixed, but feel free to pause the video to read through all the fixes, and we will have a look at these in greater detail in another video. But let's get straight into looking at the DLC bikes in today's episode. Right, so the first bike we're going to check out from the 2 Strokes pack is the awesome Aprilia RS250. Now this has an acceleration of 4.7, top speed 4.7, handling 6.2 and braking power 6. Now I actually had a 125 version of this and it was amazing, but I did actually have a chance to go on the 250 because my friend had one. They handled like a dream, very quick for a 250. Definitely would recommend one of these if you could actually get hold of one, but they are quite rare. Well, anyway, let's get into looking at the next bike in this DLC. Right, next up is the Cagiva Mito EV125 from 1994. Now this has an acceleration of 3.7, top speed 3.8, handling 5.6 and braking power 4.1. Now this had 31 horsepower, which was pretty decent for a 125 from its year, and it was one of the better 125s like the TZR 125 and the Aprilia RS 125. Definitely decent, and I think top end they used to do about 100-110 miles an hour, which was pretty good. Right, let's get straight into looking at the next 2 Stroke in this awesome DLC pack. So let's get straight into it. So here we go. Right, so next up is the Gilera CX from 1991. Now this has an acceleration of 3.1, top speed of 3.7, handling 4 and braking power 3. Now this bike actually reminds me of a TV series called Street Hawk. I'm really showing my age now. If you remember that TV series, let me know in the comments below. I'm not actually sure if this was actually the bike they used. It might be, for all I know, but it looks like that bike from that TV series. Obviously minus the guns and the ridiculous acceleration that bike had as well. But yeah, if anyone has a chance, research it, let me know if this was the bike they used, because it does look very similar. But anyway, that is another 125. Let's get straight into looking at the next 2 Stroke in this DLC. So here we go. Right, so next up is the Honda NS400R from 1985. Now this has an acceleration of 4.4, top speed 4.1, handling of 5 and braking power 4.2. Now I actually had a friend that had a reconditioned one of these, and he said that it handled like a dream. And he also had 4 pipes on his. He had obviously a custom built exhaust, and it sounded amazing. But this has only got just the twin pipe. But definitely love the look of this bike, and cannot wait to test this one out. Right, next up is the Suzuki RG500 XR14. Now this is from 1976 and it's a R8 category bike. Now it has an acceleration of 3.5, top speed 3.7, handling 3.8 and braking power 3.6. Now I do like the look of this bike. Another awesome classic that they've added to the game, and it's in the R8 category, which is quite rare on this game. There isn't many, and it's definitely worth having in your collection. I've got no idea how this bike's going to handle from that year. It's going to probably be a challenge, but we'll definitely test it out in today's episode. Right, now we're going to jump in and check out the 10 events that came with this DLC. So with the DLC you get the extra 10 events, the history of the 2 Strokes, and it gives you the opportunity to race these awesome 2 Stroke classics around 10 different events and a chance to get a reward bike. So let's just quickly flick through these, and we're going to try some of these events in today's episode on the bikes chosen for that event. So that should be interesting because I love the 2 Strokes. I'm a big fan, so hopefully it's going to be a good episode today. So that's that'd be an awesome one. Let's have a look at the next one. Oh, that's a tricky circuit, and that's a time attack. Oh, Laguna Seca. If I don't get a chance to do all 10 events in today's video, I might do a live stream, maybe over the weekend, and we will try and do the whole tour, because that is something I would like to do, because I am a big fan fan of the two-strokes. But let's get straight into the first race, and I might upgrade some of the bikes for these events as well, and then I will show you the stats of them as well. So let's get straight into that and hopefully have a really good experience. Right, so we've upgraded the Aprilia RS250 to maximum, and acceleration is 5.4, top speed 5.5, handling 7.2 and braking power 7. And we're going to race it in one of those new events, and I think this one is around Alton Park, so it should be a really good test for this bike. The handling is supposed to be really decent on this bike, so let's get straight into the race and see what it's like. Right, so here we go with a race around Alton Park, and I'm expecting this bike to be really good, and I haven't made any alterations. It's on the default setup. Let's see how we go. It's not too bad, acceleration is pretty decent. See how it drops into that first corner. Slow it down, get nice and tight in, onto the apex. Yep, drops nicely into that corner, and we've managed to move up to P5. So this is a 3-lap race. Let's see if we can just keep up with these in front, and it should be a good battle. It's not too bad. Get a bit of slipstream, see if we can get past this rider in front. Oh, we just caught his back wheel, be careful. And see if we can get nicely into that turn, and it's just dropping into the corners nicely. See what it's like under braking. Not too bad. Get nice and tight in and slowly open the throttle. Yes, that is nice. Right, let's see if we can get through this chicane without any trouble. We know what the AI are like in these chicanes. Let's see if we can just back off nicely and accelerate up the hill. That's not too bad. Can we just get past this Aprilia? Hopefully we can before the next chicane. Slow it down, get nicely turned in, and it's just dropping nicely. This is such a good handling bike. Let's see if we can just get a little bit closer to these in front. They've accelerated out of that turn a lot quicker than I am, and I'm finding the AI are pretty quick through this sector of the circuit, as we've got 3 laps, so hopefully we can just close that gap again. Not too bad through there, just trying to hold it nice and tight. Let's see if we can latch onto these 3 again. Let's see if we can slow it down into this turn and take this corner nicely. And oh, one of them's come off! What the hell? One of the AI have just come off. I'm not sure whether he made contact with one of the other bikes or he braked too hard, but he went flying off, and we are up to P3. Right, let's see if we can just push this a little bit harder on the second lap, and we might see another rider come off, you never know. But we need to put him under a little bit more pressure. And I'm not sure whether it's since the update, but the bike's feeling a lot more responsive on the controller. I mean, I'm using the Revolution Pro Controller 2, which is a custom controller, but the response on the braking and just the handling in general feels really good, and I'm getting a lot of feedback, which I do like. Right, we went into there a little bit quick, but we've managed just to turn it in, because this bike just handles so well. Right, let's see if we can close the gap to the Brazilian in front. Nicely through there, nicely done, and we've closed the gap. Let's see if we can just put him under pressure into this chicane. We need to take this a little bit quicker than we did on the previous lap. They're pretty quick through this section, not too bad. That's nicely done. And get a little bit tighter in onto the apex, that's nice. And we are right behind this time. Let's see if we can get past him before the end of this lap. We might be able to if we get the opportunity. Let's see if we can get nicely turned in again. And we are closing in. No, they were okay through that section. Right, let's see if we can nail this last corner. Let's see if anyone comes off this time. Slow it down, tight in. And that was nicely done. And we've taken the other Aprilia and we're up to P2. And we've just got a German in front of us. Let's see if we can squeeze past him. And he's on a Yamaha, and we've managed to take him in that turn. Nicely done. And we're into P1. Right, we're on the last lap. And this has been a really good experience. I absolutely love this Aprilia RS250. I could do a championship on this bike all day long. And I think I actually did a championship on this bike on Ride 2. Just check it out. It should be on the other walkthrough. And I think I did a championship on the 125 and the 250, if I remember rightly. Nicely done into that corner. And that is brilliant. And we're just maintaining that lead. we should be able to extend it through this chicane. We take the chicane at a faster pace than the AI, and that was really smooth through there, and we have just extended our lead. I'm expecting them to catch up through this chicane. They take a little bit more of a risk through here than I do. That's not too bad, and we're up on our time as well, so we're not doing too bad. It'd be nice to get the fastest lap as well, and that was okay through there. Nice. And just make sure that we don't muck it up coming towards the end of this race. Let's get nicely turned in. It's nicely done. And they have closed the gap a little bit, so 0.2 behind us. Hopefully they don't run us off in this final corner. Oh, I can just see him in my camera there. And it's not too bad. Nicely done, and we're going to take the victory. And that was an awesome race. Yep, definitely love that bike. And let's see what the times were like. I'm not sure whether I had the fastest lap, but that felt pretty good. That bike definitely gets a big thumbs up from me. And yes, we had the fastest lap as well. So it was the Yamaha TZR 250 that was giving us a push at the start, but we managed to beat that as well. Right, let's get into the next race and testing out another bike. So here we go. Right, we're going to test out a 125 now around Cantwell Park, and it's the KPG-GOONER EV125. Now the stats have improved because we've upgraded the bike to full, so it should be a really good experience. So let's get straight into the race. So here we go. Right, so here we go with the race around Cantwell Park on the KPG-GOONER, and I'm expecting this bike to handle pretty well, so let's see if we can get a good start. And this is the version of the circuit with that tricky corner, so let's see if we can get a good start and try not to crash. Right, slow it down, get tight in, and all the AI are going really wide, almost into the barrier, and they all stayed on, so that's positive. Right, let's see if we can get nicely into that turn, bit of contact there. What bike is leading? No surprise, it's an Aprilia 125. Now this bike is going to really struggle to beat the Aprilia, but let's see if we can compete. And we're going alongside it, we're managing to get past, so that's not too bad. Up to almost top end, 113, 14, 15, oh, 115 miles an hour. That's not too bad, but I know the Aprilia RS 125 is much quicker than that. Top end wise, and there it comes again. It's just got in the inside, just trying to squeeze it out. We've just managed to squeeze him out. Oh, we just made contact with my rear, but just managed to stay on. Is giving me a lot of grief, and I was expecting the Aprilia to do that. We've managed to get through that corner okay. Now we need to be good on the brakes. Slow it down, be careful, don't come off. We need to go tight in, and he's gone really wide into that turn, and we've managed to hold a nice tight line and stay on. Let's see if we can try and pull away from the Aprilia, but the Aprilia is going to have better top end, so we need to try and pull away as much as we can before we get to that straight. Now this is where I'm expecting the Aprilia to close that gap. Let's see if we can go a little bit quicker. We did 115, can we beat that? 110, 111, 112, 114 then, and we've gone in there pretty quick onto the curb. We left the braking really late. Let's keep it nice and tight, and the AI have closed the gap. There's no surprise, and they're only 0.2 behind. Right, let's be careful through here, and we've been overtaken. Oh, I don't know if that's the same bike. That's not, or is it another Aprilia? Let's see if we can just close the gap. I think it's the same bike. Yes, it is the same bike. Let's see if we can just beat him in this slow corner. And he's gone really wide. And oh, we almost came together there, but just managed to accelerate out okay. That is such a difficult corner to take at speed, even on a 125. Right, let's make sure we don't make any mistakes, but this is going to be a close race to the end, I think. No more mistakes. Let's see if we can just pull away. And it's the other KPG-GOONER that's still in second place. And that's a surprise. I thought the RS would be a lot quicker. And it's not too bad through there. Let's just try and hold it nice and tight. This is where they overtook before. Just try and not make any mistakes. got a little bit of a lead. Slow it down. Onto the curb there. Last corner. Let's not muck it up here. And accelerates. Yes, we're going to take a win. And that was a really good experience. And like I said, that circuit's probably perfect. So, did we get the fastest lap? I don't think we did, but we will check. We get 3 more stars. And no, we didn't. It was the other Cajiva that got the fastest lap. Well, there we go. That's our first experience on that bike. Let's get straight into testing another bike. Right, so we're going to jump into a track day. We need to select a bike. And this is going to be our chance to experience the Honda NS 400R. This should be really good fun. Right, so here we go with this track day. So it's 10 overtakes to complete the event on this awesome Honda 2-stroke. And I've been told that this bike handles really well. So let's see how it is on the game. Once we get control of it. And ready, steady. And off we go. Right, first overtake. Nicely into that corner. Let's see how it turns into this corner. Oh, it drops into the corners nicely. And this is going to be a lot quicker than the 125 and the 250. So let's see what the top end is like. And it is quite a nice looking bike for its year. Almost 130 miles an hour. Slow it down, turn in. That was nicely done. And we fully upgraded this bike as well. So it does handle pretty decently. And that's another overtake, so that's 3. Hopefully we can do this first time. I mean, 10 overtakes should be possible. Let's see if we can just overtake this bike. I always find that on these track days, they always seem to time the bikes, so you have to overtake them on the corners. And sometimes that can be really challenging, but we should be able to get past this one before the next corner. And that's 5 overtakes, so we're halfway there. Right, slow it down into this turn. And look at that, it just turns in nicely. And accelerate out. Oh, the front wheel wanted to come up there, so that's 6 overtakes. Oh, this is, we're absolutely flying into that turn. Oh, it just dropped so nicely into that corner. At 7. We should be able to finish this off before the end of the lap if we can get past these 2. And nicely done. Look at it, just turns in so easily. Oh, that was close. Just dipped in behind that one. And we need one more. And we should be able to do this before the end of the lap. And yes, we do. So there we go. So that is our first experience on the Honda. And that was a really, really good experience. I think that bike is awesome. I cannot wait to race that again. Definitely going to do that in one of the other events. Right, let's get into checking out the next bike. Right, now we're going to test out the Gilera CX from 1991, and we're going to jump straight into this event, and this is a time attack, so let's get straight into it. So here we go. Right, so here we go with this time attack on the Gilera CX. This is quite a challenging circuit in Italy, so I'm expecting this to be quite challenging. We need to get a time of 1 minute and 23. So let's see if we can just get round this first corner before we can start our lap time. It's once we go over the finish line, and it's not that finish line. There's 2 different finish lines on this circuit. It's this one here. Right, so here we go. Let's see if we can do it. Now we need to get nice and tight into the corners. Let's see what this bike is like. It's not too bad. Around that first corner, we need to get as tight in as we can. That's nicely done. That feels pretty decent. See what it's like when you change direction. Oh, it drops in nicely again. But these 125s are very, very light, so you should be able to chuck them into the corners quite easily. Again, nicely through there. That can be a tricky chicane at times. Onto the curb. Now this is a really, really tricky left-hand turn. Just backing off the throttle. And not getting a huge amount of feedback from the bike. It's managing to turn into these tight corners quite easily, which is a good sign. I'd like to see what this bike is like against some of the other 125s. We might do a race on this one at some point. I'd like to see what it's like against the Jiva, the Aprilia, the Yamaha TZR. It'd be interesting to see which one is the best. So that might be another versus video for me to do. Right, it's not too bad. Into that turn again. Should be okay. No, it handles those turns really, really well, and we should achieve that time quite easily. So we get a 1:20. So there we go. So we get all the stars, and I really enjoyed that. Again, that bike handles really, really well. And we've got one more bike to test out. And this one's an R8 category bike, so let's get straight into it. Right, looking at all the events that came with the DLC, there's not one race set out for this bike, which is really, really strange. So there's not one race for the R8 category bike. So I'm just going to have to test it out around a circuit in a short race myself. So I'm just going to get straight to that and see what it's like. Right, so here we go with our first experience on the Suzuki RG500. This is an R8 category bike, and we're just going to do a 3-lap race around Brands Hatch Indy. Now, I'm not expecting this bike from the 1970s to handle amazingly, but hopefully it's okay. Right, let's see how we do into that first corner, and feeling quite a bit of resistance, and it is quite stiff. Let's see what it's like under heavy braking. Turn it in. Oh, it's not turning that well at all. Oh god, on the back end, oh, this is not that great. I'm not sure how much you can adjust on this bike, probably not a lot, but it feels very, very stiff into the turn. There's not a lot of play in there, so it's going to be, you're going to have to slow it into the turn and just gradually try not to push too hard, and again, just not getting that tight in, and just slowly open the throttle and see if we can catch up. So it's not the fastest bike. It's going to have a top end maybe 140 maxed out, I think. Slow it down again. Again, that rear end is just really, really tough to turn in. Right, slow it down. Let's use a bit more front brake to get that front end. No, it just feels so stiff. And accelerate out. We're managing to keep up with the leaders, so that is good. See if we can just push it through there a little bit more. Try and carry out a little bit more speed, but it does feel very, very stiff. But this might be good in some of those tour events. There's a few events in some of the tours on the R8 category bikes, and having this one in the collection may be better than some of the other ones. So it's not too bad. And accelerate, we managed to overtake that bike. We take this one as well before the final lap. I think we are, yes. So we're into the lead, and now we need to slow it down and get it turned in. Back off the throttle. Just, yeah, it's so stiff. You can't get in too tight. I think I'd lose the rear end if I did. Again, just gently accelerate. And open the throttle. Oh god, we're right over onto the curb there. But just managing to hold. Not back on off too much. That's not too bad. So we've pulled away a little bit. Up to the final corners, see if we can finish this off, and again turn it in, and there we go. That is our first experience on the Suzuki RG500, and yeah, it's going to be a really difficult bike to race around really tight circuits. So I'd choose your circuits wisely for that one. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this new video on the DLC of the 2-stroke pack. Really appreciate all your support. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and please share the video. I really appreciate it. Let's try and get this channel up to 10,000 subscribers. That would be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.